Hallo, guten Tag, herzlich willkommen, Deutsch Studentin. Welcome, students of German 1102, summer 2020. I'm Dr. Dettinger. I'm your instructor for this summer course, and I wanted to use the time during this video to introduce myself and go over some of the main components of the course. I know that several of you are returning from either the spring semester with me or from last summer. So welcome back to all of you, and for anybody who's new with me, welcome to the course. I will just say a couple of things. If you were with me in the 2019 summer online course, we are using a completely different textbook. And if you were with me this past spring, we're using the exact same textbook, Aufgeht's, but we're just beginning with chapter 6. So I did want to say, with this being 1102, this is the second semester of introductory German. And so we will be building on the core concepts that we learned in 1101. We'll still be working on basics of grammar, formulating sentences, formulating questions, verb conjugation. In 1101, we worked a lot about being able to introduce yourself, talk about your family, your interests and hobbies, learning about food, things of this nature, especially working primarily in the present tense, but by the end, also expressing yourself a little bit in the past tense. In 1102, we'll be working a lot in both present tense and past tense. We'll be expanding on the imperfect, which was the narrative past, as well as continuing to work on the perfect, which is the conversational past, okay? And then we'll be learning new concepts to add on and create more complex sentence structures for you, okay? Additionally to that, building on the cultural components from the 1101 class, in 1102, we'll be working on a lot of things related to transportation. Okay, culturally speaking, we'll be learning about transportation in Germany, the educational system. We'll be learning about European geography and the countries that make up the EU. We'll be learning more about Austria and Switzerland, as well as about the different forms of entertainment in Germany as far as film and television and literature are concerned. Okay, grammatically speaking, we'll be working on some more complex concepts, different prepositions in the accusative, and also in the dative, We'll be working on the fourth case, which is the genitive case. We'll be using more complex verbs, reflexive verbs, and like I said, a little bit more in the past tense, especially the narrative past, the imperfect. Okay, but if you follow the weekly guidelines and my advice and watch the video tutorials and participate in the Zoom meetings, I think you'll be in pretty good shape. So we'll be continuing on the core concepts of reading, writing, listening, and speaking, and then also the cultural components that I spoke about. Again, the textbook, like I said, if you're with me this past spring, you already are aware of it, but it is called the Aufgeht's. Sorry, I hope you can see that there, Aufgeht's. They will be making an electronic version available of this. So I'm going to give you those details. Those details will actually be available in this introduction section of Moodle, or when you go to order your book. So please go ahead and find all that out. If you are new to Aufgeht's, this textbook, it functions more like a workbook. A lot of communicative exercises in it, reading excerpts, reading comprehension, templates on how to write, templates to complete verb conjugation, things of that nature. The second major component is the interactive, and I have a tab open for that here. So you'll be purchasing the textbook or ebook as well as the interactive, and the interactive really is the core to prepare you to use the textbook. Okay, the interactive is a tutorial of sorts. It has explanations of the language, explanations of the culture, both in English and in German. There's a lot of practice for vocabulary with interactive flashcards. There's practice on the vocabulary, and the program offers hundreds of videos and audio excerpts in a very authentic fashion. So when you're new to it, it'll be a little bit of a challenge. It still is going to be a challenge, but it'll allow you to practice as many times as you like, and doing the assignments within the interactive is going to help better prepare you for your tests when it comes time to that. So that said, I wanted to kind of go over in this, when you get started, I want you to go through this introductory page here, which has all the information that you need. We do have a Q&A forum here in case you have any questions along the way. You're watching the overview video. Here's all the information about joining the course, getting your textbook or your interactive account set up. Okay. If you want more information on how to navigate the interactive, there's a video here that's actually created by the author of the textbook, so I highly encourage you to do that. There's information here on Flipgrid. We'll be using Flipgrid for weekly speaking activities, so if you were with me last summer, you're already aware of this. And then here's a link to Zoom, which we'll be using, but actually we're only going to be using once a week, potentially more, but every Friday we'll have a Zoom meeting at 10:30. So 10:30 until noon every Friday. I will also have office hours available every Tuesday and Thursday, also 10:30 to noon in case you have any questions, or if you need to set up an appointment with me to meet, I'm happy to do so. Okay, access to an online dictionary, all kinds of helpful tips with the language, information on creating your ProctorU account, which you'll only be using for your final exam. So each week we'll have an assessment, but for the final, you'll actually have to set up an account and actually set up an appointment with somebody from ProctorU. To do that, all the account registration information is there. Moving forward here, this page, start here, basically just gives you some extra tips and guidelines, resources on how to successfully take an online class. Those of you who have been with me kind of know my style already. So if you're with me last summer, the format of this is going to be pretty much identical other than just using a different textbook. And if you're with me in the spring, the first half of the class we were face-to-face, and then of course the second half we all went online because of the coronavirus. But this online class will be a little bit different just because it's going to be more independent work on your part. But you'll still have weekly discussion boards where you're interacting with your classmates. You'll have weekly Flipgrid video recordings where you'll still be able to asynchronously interact with your classmates. And then of course our Zoom meetings to discuss any of the content. But all the information that you need is here to get you started. Most importantly is for you to read the syllabus and have a firm understanding of what it is I'll be grading you on. And then the rest of this, I'm going to kind of just briefly scroll through this because you will have to read this all on your own. Just like I said, tips on online learning. And before we do get started, I do want you to do this step here to introduce yourself. Okay, and then also to take the syllabus quiz, which basically just says that you did read it. And then let's go ahead and just have a look at what one of the weeks looks like. It's all the same each week. It's an intensive class, so we've got basically a 15-week semester scrunched into 8 weeks of work, and really it's 7 weeks because we'll be doing chapters 6 through 10. In the 7 weeks, week 8 is dedicated for you to complete your oral examination and also your written examination. Well, written, I should say, more online. So if you look here on the left, weeks 1 through 7, okay, so to cover 5 chapters, week 1, we do chapter 6, week 2, we do chapter 7, weeks 3 and 4, we do chapter 8, and weeks 5 and 6 we'll focus on chapter 9, and then week 7 we focus on chapter 10. We do not have a test for chapter 10, nor is there a discussion forum, nor is there a recording assignment. That week will just be dedicated to you working with the content within the chapter and then preparing for the final exam. You'll see that if you're new to the Alf Gates textbook, that each chapter is broken up into 4 parts. Okay, so that'll play a pretty important role when we get to the actual homework assignments that you're required to do. So looking here at week 1, I've included here an overview, and this basically just provides some details on what we'll be learning this week. During this week, the learning objectives, of course, are what you should be able to do by the time the week is over with. The to-do list and the reading. These are the most important probably because these list all your homework assignments. The reading actually is somewhat redundant because all of these pages are also listed in the to-do list. And it might be a little confusing because it says reading assignments, which they're actually just the lists of the homework assignments from the textbook. Some of them are reading comprehension, some of them are grammar review. So just have a look through that for any details. But I did want to look at this to-do list because here this tells you the recommended daily exercises that you should be working on. Each week, every Sunday is when all of your assignments are all due, okay? So your homework from the interactive, your homework from the textbook, and your weekly assessment are all due Sunday evening. But I recommend that you do your homework Monday through Thursday. Of course, you do as you wish, but if you want to manage your time as best as possible, I do recommend going that route. So you can see here, for instance, Monday 6.1, I have the interactive exercises listed here on the left, and then the textbook Lehrbuch exercises for you to work on the right. And they all kind of correspond with each other. So section 1 to be done on Monday, section 2 on Tuesday, etc. 3 on Wednesday, 4 on Thursday. Thursdays is when I would like you to complete your first discussion forum. There's going to be your initial post, and then by Friday I want you to have your second, and technically it's your second and third, because I want you for your second post, it's 2 responses to 2 of your classmates is what it is, okay? And then your speaking activity is due Saturday, and then all of the Gates textbook and interactive assignments are due Sunday, along with your assignment, which will be done, or your assessment, excuse me, which will be handled in Moodle, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm going to close this briefly and then keep going. Multimedia, I have here any video tutorials that I have on the grammar or also these PowerPoints that have another clarification of what that grammar is. And then we have all these things here, right? We have week 1 interactive and Gates assignment verification. Now I will say this, the actual interactive, which shows this here, these are all, once you work on these and once you create your account in here, everything you do in here is self and auto graded, and I can see that in there. So really the only thing that you are submitting is going to be the exercises from here, okay? So there's a couple ways of to complete these before submitting them within here. You can either type them up, or if you want to handwrite your responses and then take, a PDF image of that, you're welcome to do that. As long as you submit those to me showing me that you've done them, I'm fine with that either way, okay? And the due dates are all listed there. All the directions are listed in here, okay? And then we have our week 1 discussion forum, week 1 speaking activity, and all the directions are located in there. For the speaking activity, I will show you this really quick. This will be important because you do need to download the Flipgrid app, which is free, but I have all the directions and then all of your prompts here for what you should be using to discuss. And then if we go ahead and just click on this, okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and post it here. And actually I've already got it open, so let me just post it up here. Okay, so we've got, we go here, Vorstellung. Okay, so when you open up that link, it should take you right here. And then when you want to actually, excuse me 1 second, let's do this instead. Bear with me 1 moment. When you actually go to the link, there we go. Once you've created an account, it might ask you to log in, but you'll want to go in here. And then to create a recording, all you're going to do is click on this green plus, or this green symbol here, and then just follow the cues to go ahead and do that. It's quite intuitive, so that will be your speaking assignment. So you access it all in there, and then I will go into Flipgrid and verify that you've done all of those. And then you have your weekly assessment. Hold on 1 second while this loads again. There we go. Okay, your week 1 assessment, which you'll see is basically due Sunday evening or Monday morning at midnight. Okay, so all the assignments, the interactive and Gates textbook are all due Sunday evening. Discussion forums are done Thursday, Friday. The speaking activity is done Saturday. Excuse me, it says here Sunday, and then also the tests. If you have any questions at all, and I will say this, that all of these weeks are set up the exact same way. So that's my brief overview. I've hit 15 minutes, so I'm not going to keep you any longer. So if you have any questions at all, do feel free to contact me. I'm looking forward to working with you all again, and ich wünsche Ihnen einen schönen Tag noch und viel Glück. Macht's gut. Tschüss.